You know that moment when you grab your phone just to check something for a minute and suddenly it's dark outside? You scroll past faces, videos, random facts one after another, and then nothing. You can't even remember what you were looking for in the first place. It's not that you're lazy or weak-willed. It's that you were trapped in what neuroscience calls an attention trance, a state where your brain's autopilot takes over and choice quietly disappears. Every swipe feeds a tiny hit of dopamine. Every refresh resets the slot machine. You're not choosing anymore. You're reacting. But here's the good news. There's a physical way to break that trance instantly without apps, blockers, or deleting your social media. One small hand motion that flips your brain's mode from automatic to deliberate. And once you feel that shift, you'll never scroll the same way again. Before we get there, let's understand what's actually happening when you lose an hour to your phone. When you open a social app, your brain lights up the seeking system, the same neural network that drives animals to explore for food. It's powered by dopamine, but not in the way most people think. Dopamine isn't a reward chemical, it's a pursuit chemical. It doesn't make you happy for finding something. It keeps you searching for the next thing. Every scroll is a micro hunt. Every swipe tells your brain, keep looking, maybe the next one will be it. And because every piece of content is slightly unpredictable, it triggers what's called a variable reward schedule, the same pattern that makes slot machines addictive. Your brain learns that sometimes a swipe brings something interesting and sometimes it doesn't. That sometimes is what keeps you hooked, but the real trap isn't dopamine itself. It's the absence of body awareness. Notice what happens to your body when you scroll. Shoulders slump forward. Breathing becomes shallow. Your eyes glaze over. The spine curves inward. You literally curl into a passive loop. Your body sends signals of stillness, and your brain interprets that as low urgency. That combination, dopamine pursuit with body passivity, is the perfect formula for time loss. The way out isn't to fight your phone, it's to break the trance. And that starts with reintroducing movement. Here's the framework I call the interrupt loop. It has 3 stages: notice, break, reclaim. You'll use one single motion to move from each stage to the next. First, notice. You can't exit a trance you don't see. Most people realize they've been scrolling only after 10 or 20 minutes have vanished. The key is to build a micro-awareness trigger. Neuroscience shows that every behavior loop has a physical anchor, a position of the body that reinforces the state. When your spine curves, your elbows rest, and your thumb moves rhythmically, your brain locks the scrolling posture as a low-energy loop. To wake it, you need to flip posture. So, your first motion, straighten your spine and roll your shoulders back. It sounds too simple, but this single movement activates your reticular activating system, the part of your brainstem that regulates alertness. You're literally telling your brain, wake up, I'm here. Within 2 seconds, you'll feel a shift, a sense that your attention has returned to the present. That's the notice phase. You're no longer lost inside the feed. You're watching yourself scroll. The trance breaks the moment you become the observer again. Second, break. Now that awareness is back, you need to interrupt the behavior without friction. The mistake most people make is trying to resist the urge or shame themselves into stopping. But resistance just reinforces the loop. What works instead is what behavioral psychologists call a pattern interrupt. You replace the loop's motor pattern with a short, deliberate action that cuts through the momentum. Here's the motion. Close your hand into a gentle fist, then open it slowly and place the phone face down. That closing motion engages the same motor neurons that the brain uses for decision-making. It's not symbolic, it's neurological. Studies on embodied cognition show that intentional physical gestures can alter cognitive states. When you close your hand, you're literally closing an open feedback loop. You're finishing the circuit. The act tells your motor cortex, this action is complete. When you open your hand and set the phone down, you send a new signal of agency. You've moved from passive consumption to active choice. That tiny sequence, straighten the spine, close the hand, place the phone, takes less than 5 seconds, but it resets the entire behavioral circuit. You can test it now. Just imagine it. You're scrolling, the feed blurs, then you notice. You straighten, your breathing deepens, your hand closes, and you set the phone down. Instantly, your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making region, comes back online. That's the moment of reclaiming control. The third stage, reclaim, is about replacing the vacuum that scrolling fills. Because here's the real reason you pick up your phone. Not for entertainment, but for micro-escape. You scroll to soothe restlessness, avoid starting something, or fill a gap between moments. The problem isn't the phone, It's the gap. So once you've interrupted the loop, you must fill that gap deliberately. Here's where the one motion expands into a ritual. After you place the phone down, immediately perform one grounding gesture. For some, it's touching the table. For others, a deep breath with eyes closed. The goal is to reconnect sensory input, to remind your brain it's in a body, not in a feed. That's how awareness stabilizes. One physical touch point, one motion, tells your nervous system, we're back. Now let's go deeper into why this works so fast. Your attention operates on what's called the salience network, a system that decides what's worth noticing. When you scroll, that system becomes hijacked by external novelty. But when you perform a deliberate physical action, you reroute control from the external salience network to the internal one. You decide what's relevant. Movement anchors awareness in the body, and the body reclaims authority over the mind. That's why monks, athletes, and even elite soldiers train using micro-movements, small deliberate gestures that signal presence. The difference between autopilot and awareness is often 1 inch of movement. Now think of how many times you've tried to limit screen time or install blockers. They fail because they fight the symptom, not the circuit. The circuit isn't digital, it's embodied. Every behavior lives in your nervous system as a loop of posture, breathing, and motion. When you change the physical component, the loop dissolves. That's the leverage most people miss. Behavioral science calls it bottom-up intervention, changing state through the body instead of the mind. So, here's how to make it automatic. Choose one specific trigger. For example, every time your thumb starts scrolling unconsciously, perform the one motion. Straighten your spine, close your hand, and place the phone face down. Don't think, just move. The moment your body moves, your awareness catches up. You'll feel it, that clean mental click from scattered to sharp. If you want to go further, add one sentence. Say quietly, I'm back. It sounds trivial, but pairing words with motion wires the habit faster through a process called associative conditioning. Within a week, your brain begins to link that phrase with the sensation of clarity. It becomes a switch. Motion plus word equals awareness. Now let's bring it to life. Imagine you're deep in the feed, thumb moving, mind drifting. Then suddenly you catch yourself. You roll your shoulders back, you close your hand, you set the phone down, that's it. For the first time, you're not fighting the phone, you're reclaiming the body. You can feel the instant clarity, like the fog lifts. The urge to scroll again doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip. That's the beauty of this method. It doesn't suppress your impulses, it surfaces them. You start noticing the moment your attention leaks. And every time you perform the motion, you strengthen a neural pathway that says, I'm in charge. It's behavioral self-defense, not digital abstinence. Now, here's something few people realize. The body moves faster than thought. Neuroscientists call it pre-reflexive control. The body can initiate change in milliseconds, long before the conscious mind decides. When you use motion as your interrupter, you're hacking that early window. You bypass willpower entirely. Instead of arguing with yourself, you move. And that movement flips the internal mode switch from consumption to creation. The same brain circuits that drive scrolling, the mesolimbic dopamine system, can also drive momentum, learning, or creativity. They just need a cue that says, we're done hunting, time to act. The one motion gives that cue in the language your nervous system understands. Motion. Once you've reclaimed awareness, the question becomes, what do you want to fill the regained moment with? Because every scroll session isn't just wasted time, it's displaced presence. Every hour lost is an hour not used for thought, rest, or action. The one motion gives you back that space, a small pocket of choice, so don't rush to fill it. Just sit in it for 10 seconds. Let your brain reorient. That pause is where focus grows back. That's where your inner signal, the one drowned by noise, starts to surface again. You may notice an idea you forgot, a task you postponed, or even a wave of tiredness you'd been numbing. That's not distraction returning, it's awareness reawakening. This is the part most people miss. Awareness is uncomfortable at first. The phone was anesthesia. Removing it brings sensation. But that's the point. Sensation is the raw material of consciousness. When you let yourself feel it instead of escaping, your capacity for self-command expands. This is the deeper level of the protocol. It's not about the phone. It's about training your nervous system to recognize when you're slipping into unconscious behavior and to exit fast. The more you practice, the sooner you catch it. The difference between wasting an hour and wasting 10 seconds is awareness latency. The delay between losing focus and noticing it. Your one motion cuts that latency down. That's how high performers manage to stay present, not by superhuman discipline, but by shortening that gap. The motion becomes a neurophysical bookmark. Every time you close your hand, you save your attention from getting lost in another scroll loop. Now let's talk about habit design. For a behavior to stick, it needs a trigger, a routine, and a reward. You already have the trigger, the scroll itself. The routine is the motion. Straighten, close, place. The reward is the immediate clarity you feel afterward. But if you want to make it automatic, you can amplify the reward with a micro ritual. For instance, after placing the phone down, take one slow breath through the nose and ask yourself one short question. What did I just open this for? That question is a mirror. It forces the prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, to come online. And 9 times out of 10, the answer is nothing. That realization isn't guilt, it's freedom. Because now you can choose again. The same mechanism works anywhere you lose time. Email, YouTube, endless tabs. The one motion isn't about quitting technology, it's about reasserting agency in the moment of drift. The goal isn't to become a monk, it's to restore choice where choice disappears. Some people ask, why not just delete the apps? Because that's like putting a lock on the fridge instead of learning to eat consciously. Control imposed from outside collapses under stress. Control built from inside compounds. The more you practice physical awareness, the more resistant your attention becomes to hijack. It's like strength training for focus. Each repetition builds a layer of neural insulation against distraction. Over time, something changes. You'll catch yourself reaching for your phone and feel a micro hesitation, a split-second question. Do I actually want this right now? That's victory. That's the mind waking up inside the habit. It's the first sign that you've shifted from compulsive to conscious. And that shift multiplies. It spills into other areas. How you eat, how you work, how you rest. Every time you interrupt autopilot, you reclaim a piece of your life from the machinery of distraction. Let's go even deeper. Every habit loop has 3 forces: trigger, trance, and transition. The trigger starts the behavior. The trance sustains it. The transition ends it. The mistake most people make is attacking the trigger, deleting apps, turning off notifications, going digital detox. That only works until your brain finds another trigger. The real leverage lies in mastering the transition. The act that moves you from trance to choice. That's why the one motion works. It gives your nervous system a clear, repeatable endpoint. No resistance, no judgment, just transition. And once you've trained that physical exit, it becomes reflexive. You won't even have to think about it. Your body will just know, time to wake up. That's when you realize you never needed more discipline. You needed a better exit. The body always knew the way out. You just had to listen. The more you practice, the shorter the trances get. Soon, what used to consume an hour becomes 10 minutes, then 2, then just 1 reflexive glance before awareness clicks back in. That's not perfection, that's mastery, regaining authorship over where your attention lives. Remember this phrase: motion breaks hypnosis. Every trance, digital or emotional, dissolves the moment the body moves with intention. Your physiology is the steering wheel of awareness. When you learn to steer it, you're no longer a passenger in your own mind. So the next time you catch yourself deep in an endless scroll, don't fight it. Don't judge it. Just move. Straighten your spine. Close your hand. Place the phone down. Breathe once. Say, I'm back. That's your protocol. It's not a trick. It's a signal. You're not escaping technology. You're returning to presence. And presence, once restored, has a compounding effect. You'll notice the world again. The quiet hum of the room, the rhythm of your breath, the subtle pulse behind your thoughts. You'll realize how much life fits in the moments that used to vanish. You don't need to quit your phone to reclaim your time, you just need to re-enter your body. One simple motion is enough, and the next time you open your phone, it won't be a reflex, it'll be a decision. That's the difference between being online and being alive, so try it, right now. Straighten, close, place, breathe, you're back.